pectoral and pelvic fins or paired fins. Now, as we observe the body of fishes, now this is the body of a fish. Now, in the body of the fishes, these are one pair of the pectoral fins and these are one pair of pelvic fins. These are the pectoral fins and these are the pelvic fins. What is the important character of fishes? The presence of paired fins. Now the pectoral fins and pelvic fins, they are called the paired fins. These paired fins help for the locomotion. Now this one we call it as the dorsal fin and this one we call it as the ventral fin and this one we call it as caudal fin. Dorsal fin is one, caudal fin is one, ventral fin is one. Now these are called unpaired fins. Unpaired fins. They mainly help for the balance. Now observe the assertion. Pectoral and pelvic fins are paired fins, no doubt at all. Assertion is correct. Reason: paired fins help in propulsion. That means the body moves forward. As body moves forward, that is the locomotion brought by the paired fins, and unpaired fins changing the direction of the animal. Now here, what are the unpaired fins? Dorsal, ventral and caudal. Now based on this information, A and R are correct. R explains the A. Now we go for the next question. Again assertion. Lateral line sense organs of neuromast organs are called rheoreceptors. Now as we observe the body of a fish, now this is the lateral side. Now as we observe the lateral sides of the body, on the lateral sides of the body, what are present? The lateral line sense organs. Now in the lateral line sense organs, what are present? The rheoreceptors. They are also called neuromast organs. Now what is the function of lateral line sense organs? They help to detect the pressure changes. To detect the pressure changes. It means the place where the pressure is more. From this area, the fish moves to the next area. What are the pressure detecting organs? They are called rheoreceptors. They are also called neuromast organs. They are present in lateral line sense organs. Based on this information, the correct answer is both are correct. R explains A. Now we go for the next question. EAPCET. Now EAPCET. What are the EAPCET? One example is the fishes. The second example is amphibians. Now fishes and amphibians are combinedly termed as EAPCET. Now an amniote, it means amnion absent. In fishes and amphibians, what is absent? Amnion absent. Amniotes. Now you observe the question. EAPCET, it may be fish or amphibian. An amniote, it may be fish or amphibian. But here, what is the continuity? EAPCET, an amniote, living fossil with 10 pairs of cranial nerves. Now in fishes, what is the living fossil? What is the living fossil? That is the latimeria. The latimeria is also called the coelacanth fish. What is meant by living fossil? It has not undergone any changes since millions of years. In all fishes, How many cranial nerves? 10 pairs. In all amphibians, how many cranial nerves? 10 pairs. Now here EAPCET, an amniote, living fossil with 10 pairs of cranial nerves. One is spinodon, second one is limulus, third one is neopilina, and the fourth one is latimeria. Based on this information, the correct answer is the latimeria. Now we go for the next question. Only living fish in brackets EAPCET, it is a fish, an amniote, amnion absent, with cosmoid scales. Now here what is the first option? Lepidosiren, that is a lungfish. In lepidosiren, what type of scales are present? The cycloid scales. Now second, latimeria, that is the living fossil, what type of scales? Cosmoid scales. What is meant by cosmoid scale? It is made by cosmoid material. Now the third one is clarius. As we observe the clarius, in the clarius the scales are absent. Now angula, that is the teleost fish. Now here what is the question? Cosmoid scales are present in, one is lepidosiren, second latimeria, third clarius batrachus, and the fourth one is angula. Now the correct answer is the coelacanth or latimeria. The next question is, in sucker fish, the sucker is the modified. Now as we observe the sucker fish, now this is one sucker fish. It is popularly known as Echines. What is the common name? That is the sucker fish. Here the first dorsal fin is modified into sucker. Now this is the sucker. With the help of this sucker, the Echines attached to a large fish. This is a large fish. Now the Echines with the help of sucker attaches to the ventral side of a large fish. As a large fish moves, along with the large fish, the Echines also moves. That means here this association or attachment helps in locomotion. This association is an example of temporary ectocommensalism. What is meant by commensalism? One gets benefit, the second one neither beneficial nor harmful. Now in this diagram you have to observe, this is the large fish. It is neither beneficial nor harmful. But here Echines gets benefit. What type of benefit? As attaches to the body of large fish, it performs the locomotion. As a large fish moves along with the large fish body, the Echines also moves. So it is an example of temporary ectocommensalism. Here in sucker fish, the sucker is the modified anterior or the first dorsal fin. So the answer is for this question is the first option. Now we go for the next question. Which of the following is flying fish? Now as we observe the flying fish, it is called EAMCET. What is the common name? Flying fish. In the EAMCET, the pectoral fins are modified into the wings. The pectoral fins are modified into wings. No doubt the EAMCET is the marine form. It lives in marine water. the EAPCET glides from one place to another place in a marine water. Such gliding, such flying is brought by the wings. The wings are the modified pectoral fins. Common name of EAPCET is the flying fish. Now here the first option is Rhacophorus, that is a flying frog. Second one, EAPCET, that is a flying fish. Hippocampus, that is the sea horse. Hyala, that is called the tree frog. Here regarding the question, the correct answer is EAPCET. Now we go for the next question. The fish that has characteristic three-lobed diffuse circle caudal fin. Now, what is meant by diffuse circle caudal fin? Now, as we observe the diffuse circle caudal fin, it has two lobes. This is dorsal lobe and ventral lobe, and this one we call it as the vertebral column. Now, what is meant by diffuse circle caudal fin? It has dorsal ventral lobes and vertebral column extending to the tip of tail. Externally, internally similar. Here the question, what is the fish in its body trilobed diffuse circle caudal fin? Now, three lobes, the dorsal lobe, the middle lobe and the ventral lobe. Now, this is the vertebral column. Externally, internally, the fin is similar. Trilobed, three lobes are present. Here, the fish that has trilobed diffuse circle caudal fin, one is Bichir, Garpike, Echinus, Latimeria. The answer is Latimeria. The next question is, what is the largest fish in the world? One is the Scoliodon. It is called the Indian dogfish. The second one is Rhinodon or Rhincodon. This is the largest fish. It is also called the second largest chordate. Now, what is the third one? Balænoptera musculus. That is the largest chordate. What is the third one? Sperna. That is called the hammer-headed shark. Now here, the first one is Scoliodon. That is called Indian dogfish. Rhinodon or Rhincodon. That is the largest fish. It is also called the second largest chordate animal. Balænoptera musculus. That is the largest chordate animal, commonly known as blue whale. Sperna, hammer-headed shark. Here the head is hammer-like. This is the head. The head is the hammer-like. Now, based on this information, what is the correct answer for this question? That is the Rhinodon or Rhincodon. Now, we go for the next question. Based on the number of gill slits, arrange the following fishes in the descending order. One is Scoliodon, second is Heptangus, third Lepidosiren, and the fourth one is Hippocampus. Now, as we observe Heptangus, the Heptangus, how many pairs of gill slits? 7 pairs. Now, Hexanchus. How many pairs of gill slits? 6 pairs. Now, Scoliodon. How many pairs of gill slits? 5 pairs. What about the lepidosiren? Lepidosiren. The lepidosiren is a bony fish. It is a bony fish. In all bony fishes, how many pairs of gill slits? 4 pairs. Now you observe Scoliodon, Heptangus, Lepidosiren, Hippocampus. Instead of Hippocampus, you have to change like that, Hexanchus. Now in the Heptangus, how many pairs of gill slits? 7. In Hexanchus, students, here regarding the options, Hippocampus is changed as Hexanchus. In the Hexanchus, how many pairs? 6 pairs. In Scoliodon, 5 pairs. Lepidosiren, that is a lungfish. It is a bony fish. So in all bony fishes, how many pairs of gill slits? 4. Here the question is descending order. 7 pairs, 6 pairs, 5 pairs and 4 pairs. Now based on this, what is the correct answer for this question is B. Heptanchus, 7 pairs. D. Change Hippocampus as Hexanchus, 6 pairs. Scoliodon, 5 pairs. Lepidosiren, 4 pairs. Now we go for the next question. This is a cartilaginous fish which possesses the operculum. Now, as we observe the cartilage fishes, the cartilage fishes are classified into elasmobranchi, and the second one we call it as holocephaly. Now, in the elasmobranchi, minimum number of gill slits 5 pairs. In some 6 pairs of gill slits. In some 7 pairs of gill slits. In case of elasmobranchi, the gills are naked because they are not covered by operculum, in brackets into. But holocephaly, one example is the chimera. In case of holocephaly, how many pairs of gill slits? The 4 pairs. Now the gill slits covered and protected by a covering. That covering we call it as the operculum. Now here, this is a cartilaginous fish which possesses the operculum. One is Scoliodon. Scoliodon is a cartilaginous fish but no operculum. Chimera, it is a cartilaginous fish having operculum. Latimeria, it is not a cartilaginous fish. Hippocampus, it is not a cartilaginous fish. So what is the correct answer is the chimera. Now we go for the next question. Set of male amniotic. Here what is the question? The set of male amniotic. Amniotic. That means what is absent? Amnion absent. Comma, ichthyopsids. What are the ichthyopsids? They may be fishes as well as amphibians. Now ichthyopsids. Ichthyopsids. They may be fishes or they may be amphibians. Now here you observe the question. Set of male amniotic, ichthyopsids that exhibit parental care. Now in case of fishes, one example is the hippocampus. In hippocampus, the male hippocampus exhibits the parental care. In case of amphibians, elytes, the male elytes exhibits the parental care. Now here you have to observe what are the examples for the male: Amniotic, no amnion, ichthyopsids, fish as well as amphibian that exhibit parental care. The correct option is the hippocampus, that is a fish, and Elides, that is amphibian. The correct answer is the fourth one. Now we go for the next question. Read the following statements regarding Inura. Regarding Inura. Now, what is the common name of Inurans? The frogs and toads. The study of frogs and toads, we call it as the batrachology. Now, based on this information, we have to study the statements. In case of Inura, vertebrae are mostly procellus. What is meant by procellus vertebra? Anteriorly concavity and posteriorly convexity, that is procellus vertebra. Now in Inura, most of the vertebrae are procellus. Now the first statement is correct. Second, vocal cords are present. Now as we observe the frogs, what are present? Vocal cords are present. Because of the vocal cords, they are able to produce the sounds. In the phylum Vertebrata, that means in the subphylum Vertebrata, what are the pioneers of sound production? The amphibians. As we observe the amphibians, they produce sounds. Particularly in the amphibians, in the Inurans, the frogs, they produce the sounds. Now in case of Inura, what are present? The vocal cords are present. And the third statement, the middle ear and tympanum are present. Now in case of amphibians, instead of external ear, again repeating, instead of external ear, what is present? The tympanum. What is the other name of tympanum? That is the eardrum. The tympanum is followed by the middle ear. It is followed by the internal ear. In case of Inura, we observe tympanum, middle ear and internal ear. What are the other amphibians? Apoda, Urodela. In Apoda and Urodela, only internal ear present. No middle ear and tympanum. Now, based on this information, the given three statements are correct. Now we go for the next question. The urodele used by Kammerer to support the Lamarckism. Now, as we observe the Lamarckism theory, the Lamarckism is supported by some persons. They are called Neolamarchists. According to the Lamarckism, all acquired characters inherited by their offsprings. As we observe the theory of Lamarckism in detail, according to the Lamarckism theory, in our body, the somatic cells are present. All cells are somatic cells except the ovum and sperm. Now, this is the sperm and this is the ovum. These are called the germ cells. Remaining all cells are somatic cells. Now, according to the theory of Lamarckism, because of the external environment, one example is the light. Because of the light, somatic cells are stimulated, they release secretions. These secretions enter into blood. Along with the blood, they are supplied to germ cells. It means the changes that occur in the somatic cells transmitted to next generation in this way. This explained by the Neolamar cyst. One of the Neolamar cysts is the Kammerer. He conducted experiments on Proteus. What is the Proteus? It is a blind amphibian. It lives in the caves. As we observe the Proteus, in the Proteus, the pigmentation is less and the rate of metabolism is less. Now, on one day, the Proteus exposed to the light. Because of the influence of the light in its body, somatic cells are stimulated, they release secretions, they enter into the blood, along with the blood, they enter into the germ cells. In this way, in the body of Proteus, the skin coloration transmitted from one generation to another generation. That was explained by one of the Neolamar cysts known as the Kammerer with reference to the Proteus. Here, the urodele used by Kammerer to support Lamarckism. One is Amphibia, Necturus, Proteus and Protopterus. Here, what is the correct answer is the Proteus. Now we go for the next question. Assertion. The newts and salamanders are classified as amphibians. Now, as we observe the class Amphibia, in the class Amphibia, one order is Urodela. Now, in the Urodela, the common name of amphibians is the newts and salamanders. Why they are called amphibians? Because they partly live in water and partly live on the land. Now you observe the assertion. The newts and salamanders are classified as amphibians because they partly live in water and partly live on the land. So they are amphibians, no doubt at all. The assertion is correct. Reason. Newts and salamanders have three-chambered heart. This is one atrium, another atrium and ventricle. In all amphibians, how many chambered heart is present? Three chambered heart. A and R are correct, but are not correct explanation of A. Because why they are kept under the amphibia? Because of the amphibious life. They partly live in water and partly live on the land. But the reason is not the correct explanation. But in newts and salamanders, the heart has how many chambers? Three chambers. So both are correct, but R does not explain the A. Now the next question. The following are the statements about urodeles. What is the other name of urodeles? Chordata. What is meant by chorda? Tail. So these are also called the tailed amphibians. Now under urodela, here some statements are given. One is largest RBC is seen in Amphibia. Now one example for the urodela, that is Amphibia. As we observe the vertebrates are in the phylum Chordata, this is the only animal having the largest RBC. The size of RBC is very large in the Amphibia. So the first statement is correct. Second one, South America is the headquarters. No, urodelans are mainly present in North America. So the North America is the headquarters of the urodelans. So the second statement is wrong. What about the third statement? As we observe the urodela, this is the upper jaw and this is lower jaw. This is upper jaw and lower jaw. Now in urodela, on both the jaws, what are present? The teeth are present. So regarding the urodelans, What are the correct statements? Under Urodela, one example is Amphiuma. No doubt, in the phylum Chordata, here only the RBC is large in size. First statement correct. Headquarters of Urodelans, North America, but not South America. So, the second statement is wrong. The third, in Urodela, on both the jaws, what are present? The teeth are present. So, first and third statements are correct. Now, we go for the next question. Read the following statements. Here, age of amphibians is Devonian period. Now, as we observe the Devonian period, in the Devonian period, from the osteolipids, these are a type of fishes. In the Devonian period, from the osteolipids, amphibians evolved. The amphibians flourished in Carboniferous period. Now, what is the golden age of amphibians? The Carboniferous period. What is the golden age of fishes? Devonian period. Here, what is the first statement? Age of amphibians is Devonian period. Wrong. Age of amphibians is Carboniferous period. But amphibians evolved in Devonian period. What are the ancestors of amphibia? Osteolipids. So, first statement is the wrong. Second, erythrocytes. Erythrocytes are also called RBC. In case of fishes, amphibians, reptiles, aves. What is the shape of RBC? The RBC is oval. The RBC is biconvex. The RBC is nucleated. Students, you have to observe the diagram. That is oval shape. Convexity, convexity. In Pisces, amphibians, reptiles, aves, the RBC oval, biconvex and nucleated. This oval is also called elliptical. Now, second statement, RBC are elliptical and nucleated. So, second statement is correct. Third, amphibians excrete urea. At what stage amphibians excrete urea? The adult amphibians excrete hypotonic urea. Again it is repeating. As we observe the amphibia, the larval stages excrete ammonia, whereas the adult amphibians excrete hypotonic urea. Third statement is correct. Now, fourth statement, in snakes and apoda, that is one type of amphibians. Snakes live in burrows. Apodan amphibians live in burrows. In order to live in the burrows, so many adaptations are present. One among them, in snakes and apodan amphibians, the lungs are asymmetrical. One is large, one is small. The kidneys are also asymmetrical. One kidney is large, one kidney is small. So that here, based on the statements, what are the correct statements? Except one. Remaining all statements are correct. Now the next question. The number of bones present in the lower jaw of first vertebrates. What are the first vertebrates? The reptiles. Next, with pentadactyl limbs. This is one forelimb, another forelimb. Each forelimb has 5 digits. Each forelimb has 5 digits. One hind limb, another hind limb. Each one has the 5 digits. Now, the number of bones present in the lower jaw of first vertebrates with pentadactyl limbs that end in the clawed digits. These are claws. These are claws. Now, here in reptiles, this is the lower jaw. Now, as we observe the lower jaw, This is one half of lower jaw. This is another half of lower jaw. Now it is represented as a diagram. Now this is half of lower jaw. This is half of lower jaw. Now in each half 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now in each half how many bones? 6. Here 6. Totally how many bones? 12 bones. Now the number of bones present in the lower jaw of first vertebrates with pentadactyl limbs that end in claw digits 6 plus 6, 12. The answer is the third option. Now we go for the next question. Only amniotes, that means amnion present, and the only reptile, that means it is a reptile having amnion, to have only 10 pairs of cranial nerves. Among reptiles, where we have to observe the 10 pairs of cranial nerves? Only in case of snakes. Now as we observe the snakes, in the snake's body, the lungs are asymmetrical. One is large, one is small, and the kidneys are asymmetrical. Now based on this information, only amniotes, amnion present, that is a reptile and having 10 pairs of cranial nerves. Among reptiles, where 10 pairs of cranial nerves? Snakes. No doubt it is a reptile. In its life study, amnion present. In the snakes, the lungs and kidneys asymmetrical. Now the first answer is the snakes have asymmetrical lungs and kidneys. Now we go for the next question. Reptiles with laterally compressed tail. Now you keep in our mind. Now laterally compressed tail. Where we observe the laterally compressed tail? One option is the sea snakes. The second one is the rhynchocephalia. And the third one is the crocodilia. All these are correct. But here you have to observe reptiles with laterally compressed tail and abdominal ribs. Now this part is the head region, neck, and this is the trunk, and this one is tail. This part is thorax, abdomen. Now generally in the thoracic region the ribs are present, but as we observe the rhynchocephalia and crocodilia, in the abdominal region ribs are present, but they are not the true ribs. They are called gastralia. Now reptiles with laterally compressed tail, one is rhynchocephalia, crocodilia. In rhynchocephalia and crocodilia, in the abdominal region ribs are present, but they are not the true. They are membranous. They are called gastralia. Now here the answer is the rhynchocephalia and crocodilia. Now we go for the next question. Extant, that is present day living. Amniote, amnion present with amphicoelous vertebrae. Now here what are the options? Iguanodon. Second one is Spinodon. Third one is Archaeopteryx. And the fourth one is Eudiptus. One is Iguanodon. Second one is Spinodon. Third one is Archaeopteryx and Eudiptus. Now here the extant present day living Iguanodon, that became extinct, not present day living. Spinodon, present day living. Archaeopteryx, it became extinct. Eudiptus, that is a bird. Now as we observe the Spinodon, what type of vertebrae? Amphicoelous. What is meant by amphicoelous? On both the sides, what is present? The concavity. On both the sides, what is present? The concavity. Among the reptiles, this is the only exception. In the order Rhynchocephalia, One example, Spinodon. What type of vertebrae? Amphicoelous. The correct answer is the Spinodon. Now we go for the next question. Only amniotes, that means amnion present, and only vertebrates, the notochord replaced by vertebral column to show cloacal respiration. Now among vertebrates, as we observe the order Chelonia, in the order Chelonia, particularly in the aquatic forms, this part we call it as cloaca. In the cloaca, what are present? The respiratory trays. So among vertebrates, in the order Chelonia, we observe the cloacal respiration. What about the invertebrates? In invertebrates, class Holothuroidea. In Holothuroidea, what type of respiration is present? Cloacal respiration. Holothuroidea, that is invertebrate, but Chelonia, that is vertebrate. Here the answer is, have to observe only amniote and the only vertebrate to show cloacal respiration lacks, that means absent, clavicles, right systemic arch, sternum. That means in the order Chelonia, what is absent? The sternum is absent. Now the answer is the third one. Now the last but one bit. Identify edentulous. What is meant by edentulous? Edentulous means the teeth are absent. Phyclothermic, body temperature changes. Amniote, that is amnion present. Here one example is Typhlops, and next Corvus, Trionyx and Ornithorhynchus. Here one example is the Trionyx. The Trionyx come under the order Chelonia. Now in the order Chelonia, the teeth are absent. That condition we call it as edentulous. Now it is a reptile. Body temperature varies, phyclothermic, but amnion present. So for this question, what is the answer? The Trionyx. Now the last question. Study the cold-blooded amniotes. What is meant by cold-blooded? They are also called phyclothermic. The body temperature changes. Amniotes, what is present? Amnion, that are not represented in New Zealand and Ireland. In New Zealand and Ireland, what are absent? The snakes are absent. The study of snakes, we call it as ophiology or serpentology. Now, based on this information, what is the correct answer? The serpentology. Now, in the next class, we have to discuss the remaining topics regarding the general characters and classification, and we enter into the rabbit functional anatomy.